Hello, folks. Welcome back to Ferox Frank Reviews. This is your host, Ferox Frank, and I'm very tired because this is actually the second time I'm doing this video. I had originally a near hour long video all ready for you guys to listen to and enjoy and hear me rant on and on and on for nearly endless bullshit. And so I realized the fucking mic was off the entire time, so I wasted an hour of my breath for nothing. Fuck. So, what am I gonna do? Well, this is my first video of October. So thank God it's finally October. Let's get this over with, shall we? Now, what is today's movie? Well, today's movie is called Down. And this is a bit more of a complication because this had a weird release date. Had like a weird media release for a little while too. The movie was actually made and released in 2001. It was released in 2001. Now, there was like a somewhat controversial thing going on with this movie. Well, it was actually due to the fact of very, very bad timing. The movie was released on May 11th, 2001, and just 4 months later, we got the September 11th attacks. Yeah. And to make matters worse, they actually talk about terrorist attacks in this movie. It takes place in New York City, and there's a good amount of shots of the Twin Towers in certain segments of the movie. So it did not do so well when it first got released. But its home media release, it got ridiculed for a little while. So it was re-released under a different name. So the movie is called Down, but in its first official release on home media, whether it was VHS or DVD, it was called The Shaft. Yeah, take a look at that title, The Shaft. And the funny thing is that this is actually an American remake of a Dutch film called The Lift. And ironically, if you look at the Lift's original poster, it looks almost like this. So I think they were trying to clearly say this was an American remake of that particular film. But what's even more crazy is that the director of this movie, Dick Moss spelled Maas, also directed The Lift. Yeah, The Lift was released in 1983. It was a hit, and it actually got some decent reception here in the U.S. under being released on TV and home media marketry, mostly in video rental. So my question is this movie called The Shaft? No, it's called Down. Well, if you want to be a real asshole, why don't you just call the movie Down the Shaft? Down the Shaft. Down the Shaft. Why that title? It combines both titles. I mean, come on. It makes a lot of sense to call it that. So, and also, to be fair, that actually sounds more like a title for a movie from the 1950s, but, and also the 1980s. So it makes a bit more perfect sense. However, in this day and age, calling it Down the Shaft makes it sound like it's dirty film, like a porno film. And if the people online who think that, all I gotta say to you is, grow up. Just fucking grow up, alright? Jesus Christ, people, just grow up. Alright? It's gonna be really hard for me to talk about this film again. And I mean, again, because this is the second video I'm doing about this. The first video had no audio whatsoever, and I couldn't bear to actually redub everything. So, best opportunity for me right now is to actually redo this video again. And I got this video done like what, almost like 40 minutes ago. So I'm doing it again. As you can plainly see, I'm low on energy. I'm like dead tired at this point. I even had to put like a sugar. I even had to put like a energy pack in here so I can stay awake. This may have been a mistake. So, however, before I continue any further, I do have to say this movie did gain its cult following and its cult status during during its home media release, whether it was actually on TV or during the video store days. So, namely, people would see it and they would just rent it, and they did mostly get some appraisal, and it did get some appraisal as time went on. So it became sort of a sleeper cult film over time. So when the movie was first released in theaters, it was called Down, but because of the negative reception it got in theaters, and because it was too much related to the 9/11 attacks, it was called The Shaft. And ironically enough, The Shaft is what's original is close to to the original film that it's based off on, called The Lift. However, that was during its VHS and DVD release. When it was re-released on DVD and later getting its Blu-ray release, they switched the title back to Down. Why? I don't know. I guess they got sick and tired of calling it The Lift. In fact, its title was later changed back to Down when it was going back on TV. So, yeah, it got its original title back. So, the Shaft, Down the Shaft. We're talking about Down. Yeah. So, the movie takes place in New York City, but I should mention this film was actually made during late 2000, as in the autumn season of 2000. That's why it looks like it takes place in the autumn season of 2000. So obviously the movie was supposed to take place during the autumn season of 2001, and you can kind of see why this didn't work out too well, because 4 months later we got the September 11th attacks. So that's enough about the September 11th attacks for now, because later on in the movie they do reference the Twin Towers bombing that took place in the early 90s. Sorry, man, I'm just trying to get this fuck beer thing like all. Yeah, I really need to get my own fucking hat. I really need to get my own goddamn hat. Just saying. So the movie takes place in New York City, like I said, and we get a plethora of shots of the World Trade Center. But we also see the Empire State Building in the background, as well as the Chrysler Building. But the movie takes place in a building called the Millennium Building, and don't even try looking it up because it doesn't exist. There is a building called the Millennium Tower or something in New York City, or Millennium something, but it's not the same building. In fact, this looks like it's a prototype building to the Empire State Building. Like, how the Empire State Building looks the way it is now. Okay, this building looks like was made like maybe 2 decades prior, right? Or maybe it could have been the architect to the Empire State Building. But it's got a bunch of elevators into it, though. So we mostly just follow. But the movie basically follows a technician by the name of Mark, played by James Russell. I'm, I'm sorry, I'm really out of it. James Marshall and Naomi Watts in this movie as a reporter named Jennifer. So the movie basically just follows. Also, Eric Thal is in this. How do you pronounce his last name? Thal. Thal, is that how you spell it? Thal. Eric Thal. The only other film I've seen him in was actually Bystanders with Donald Sutherland and Keith Richard and Keith David. I should probably review that movie sooner or later, as well as the other films that are actually on it, which is a Dolph Lundgren film and Treat Williams' Deep Rising movie, which people are saying may be a sequel to Skull Island. I don't know how I feel about that. So, like I said, the movie follows two technicians that live in Jersey City, New Jersey, and they have to and and Millennium Building has been suffering problems mostly from the elevator shaft, mainly in the main freight elevators. Like, for example, like people get stuck in the elevators with pregnant women at one point, and it gets really hot in there for some reason. Technicians can't open the door, and two women give birth to the babies prematurely. And when the technicians come in, there's nothing wrong with the damn thing; it works just fine. But the funny thing is, as they're working on it and it's all fully fixed, the elevator kills somebody else, a blind guy who happens to be a pervert. Yeah, basically the stylist who actually the guy went in for like a hairstylist. Like, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of businesses in that building, which is ridiculous. So clearly it's a multi-purpose building, which it's one of the oldest buildings in New York. It's ridiculous. But it's clearly a stand-in for the Empire State Building. My guess is originally the movie was supposed to take place in the Empire State Building, but they didn't want to associate the building with with the killer elevators. Yeah. So what's wrong with the elevator? Is it possessed? Maybe. I mean, it's New York City after all. You'd be surprised what the hell happens in New York City. I mean, hell, we had ghosts running around in New York City in the '80s. We had Ninja Turtles running around during the '80s, which went to the early '90s. So much. We even got a ton of mutants in New York City too. I mean, we got Spider-Man, we got the Avenger Station there. You got a lot of shit in New York. And the less to say about what happened with the with Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen, the better. I'm not going to bother with that. And also, when I mentioned Spider-Man earlier, there's actually a little kid in this movie, a little cute. There's an adorable little girl in this movie by the name of Mary Jane. And this movie came out just a literal year before the Sam Raimi Spider-Man film came out. So I'm guessing that's a little too close in comfort there. Who the hell knows? Anyway, the elevator actually kills a blind man and his seeing eye dog after the elevator just got repaired. Uh, but as far as like the elevator station is concerned, like the main power station is on the top floor, and the elevator that's above the elevator shafts. He checked it out. Nothing's wrong. Whatever. Let's just move on. And Mark actually goes to talk to his girlfriend. She's cheating on him. He goes to see his buddy Jeff. They hang out for a little while, but Jeff's wife is pregnant, so they leave. And Mark stays behind, gets filthy drunk. Jennifer's trying to figure out what actually happened the previous day with the elevator thing. Nobody's talking to her. And she's trying to get like another story going out there, but her computer fucks up. So she goes to her tech guy named Chip. Why Chip? Why not? Anyway, two security guards are having a problem with the elevator. So what happens with the elevator? Well, it goes up and down. It goes up a couple of floors. It goes down a couple of floors. Basically, it's just playing cat and mouse with them, like an asshole. Anyway, the doors stay open. The asshole security guard. I'm saying there's these are two security guards. It's like one's an asshole, one's a legit asshole who thinks he can get away with a lot of shit, but you know he's gonna fucking die, right? This is an asshole instead of a horror film. You know he's gonna fucking die. And we have this dumbass who's his partner. Who's like, gee, what? Does he die? No, he doesn't. But to be fair, hey, I think it would. I don't think it would have worked regardless. So anyway, they actually wound up going. So yeah. Anyway, so it, really out of it at this point. Well, give me a minute. So anyway, the doors stay open while the elevator's not there. So the guy looks down the shaft and he happens to see the blind guy's dead dog just hanging in the shaft. Doors close in on him, and the elevator slowly comes down and cuts his head off. And his partner this is a little bit is kind of overacting. And what's he do? He upchucks in his bag, and it's like played like all serious, like the slow mo thing and everything. And the guy's like, it's basically saying that maybe the elevator is possessed by something, which wouldn't be surprising. But like I said, it's New York City. You'd be surprised what the fuck goes on in that city. So what happens? Well, the police department gets called in, and we have the detective played by Dan Hedaya, and he's barely even in the movie, just barely. Anyway, okay, Mark works on the elevator again. He's fighting a hangover. Jennifer actually breaks in, tries to get some information on him, but all she does is piss him off and annoy the crap out of him. And he basically tells her that, look, elevators kill people every day. All right? It just happens, all right? So, can you please fuck off? keep this in mind. He is fighting a hangover at the moment. He is working what should have been his day off. He got called in on an emergency, and he is fighting a goddamn hangover. All right, so just give the guy some credit, but he does his job pretty damn well. All right, and this reporter is hassling him. Yeah, I mean, hell, even she tried to get him arrested, saying, "Oh, look, officer arrested. He raped me." It's like, seriously, you went in after him, and it's been what, barely 40 seconds. How did he fucking rape you so fast? How, lady? Just get the fuck out of here. Like, thank you, officer, very much. Also, can I have my coffee back? Thank you. Oh, fucking Christ. Mark and Jeff actually check out the elevator again, and it all pans out. And of course, the detective actually doesn't believe them. But then again, he's like, "I don't like elevators." All that. Yeah, it's that typical detective. It's a typical movie detective bullshit thing that we've seen in several movies as years go on. It's really old. It's tiresome, dude. Really, fuck off. I'm just saying that right now because I'm really fucking exhausted. And this is the second time I'm doing this review, so please cut me some slack. I am really fucking tired. I'm probably gonna go straight to bed after this, even though this video's being released what on Tuesday morning. Yeah, well, whatever. It's like fucking. It's like 10:30 at night right now. I'm doing this video, so cut me some fucking. Oh, yeah. So yeah, Mark is starting to look more into the Millennium Building. Maybe there's something wrong with the building itself. But again, nothing much said. Also, Mark finds out that Jeff's original partner, Kowalski, actually committed suicide. And he doesn't know why. And, well, apparently Jeff doesn't want to talk about it. That's right there. Anyway, oh, God. The next day, Mark is reassigned to somebody else, and Jeff is actually having an argument with a guy called Gunther Steinberg, who's being played by Michael Ironside. All right, but we don't hear the conversation. Just having a heated argument outside the building of the of their their elevator workplace in Jersey City, New Jersey, and the boss is played by Ron Perlman. Apparently, Jennifer's editor actually ran the story and put Mark's quote in there. Now, here's the thing. I said this previously in the other video. I'm going to say it right now, but Mark has this opportunity. He has the opportunity to call the paper up and sue them and actually tell them to take the piece down and actually have the newspaper arrested for falsifying information. Because of this report, like, I'm not even joking, because of his little statement, he actually is now a suspect by the police. So Mark has every right to call the newspaper tell them to take that down, print a retraction, or else he's going to sue them for every penny that they got. So because this misleading information, and he was fighting a fucking hangover, and his reporter got the information illegally. So yeah, his reporter's going to get jail time, and the newspaper's about to get sued to oblivion. But that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. He has every right to do it, but it doesn't happen. Now, if it happened to me, I'd be a fucking billionaire at this point for suing the newspaper. And the same thing happens to you, you can be a billionaire too. But again, not to this movie's logic. So, James gets assigned, James Marshall's character, Mark, gets assigned to somebody else. They go to Uptown, which is in Harlem. And another incident actually wants to happen with a couple of rollerbladers. And one's a douchebag, the other makes the trips, falls because of his opponent. And he gets stuck by the elevator, the elevator brings him all the way up to one of the top observation decks, and throws him out, and the elevator tosses him out the window on the observation deck. It is so exaggerated, and it's so ridiculous. It is straight up laughable. It's that ridiculous. I'm pretty sure the death is actually here on YouTube. I mean, you can look it up, but honestly, it is just all around fucking ridiculous. I actually wind up laughing every time I see this part. Honestly, my friends might think I'm crazy, but I don't care. I just laugh my ass off every time I see this part because it's so ridiculous. And the funny thing is, his opponent is sitting in front of the building smoking a doobie, and if he actually says, "What? Did you get lost or something? Take a wrong turn somewhere?" Splat! Right in front of him, right after he said that. And then we get the whole thing with the kid. So yeah. After that, we get the thing. We get this thing with the little Mary Jane, the kid, where the elevator is just playing a game with her at this point. Well, it's just dicking around again, but it's actually just fooling around with the kid. But it doesn't kill. It's about to kill the kid, but it doesn't. So it just destroys the toy. And to be fair, the kid actually runs away from the daycare because the nanny from hell is working there. Where if this was real life, that bitch would have been arrested. It would have been fired, arrested, and sent to Rikers, possibly on death row, or being transferred to a state that has the death penalty. I don't fucking give a shit at this point. That bitch should have been killed off in the movie. The babysitter, not the little kid. I'm talking about the babysitter. God, Annie from hell. And that's how she's listed. Babysitter from hell. Also, there's also something else I gotta mention. Mark's girlfriend, who actually somebody else basically cheated on him, and basically Mark left her. Here's a fun fact. She's actually she's actually Jeff's sister, believe it or not. And the next time we see this actress is actually on The Dark Knight. Checks the female civilian was telling everybody that she actually blow the other boat up in The Dark Knight. That's a weird connection. Oh, seriously, that's the weirdest connection I made so far. Wow. I am all up going. I am really going all over with this one. And sorry, my foot's basically just hitting the thing here. See? My hands are up here. It's my feet. Earthquake! I should probably do the movie Earthquake sooner or later. If I ever get my hands on that movie. Good movie, by the way. Actually, I do have an Earthquake film with Gary Daniels in there. I should probably do one of those. I should probably do that film. Or any type of natural disaster film. I'm getting off track here. Anyway, Mark discovers what happened. So he tries to get access to the building. He gets kicked out. He talks to Jennifer while they try to reconcile, but kind of goes back and forth. Anyway, Jennifer later goes to his place and actually shows him the video. She actually has tape. She actually stole the security tape. And what she arrested is beyond me at this point. But anyway, she shows him the tape, and he looks at it. It's ridiculous, but she tells him that she didn't notice at first until he looked at the time code. It's completely ridiculous of how the video looks from a security perspective, but it looks like the guy got sucked into the elevator and chucked out the window, and literally chucked out the elevator. But yet the elevator was empty. All it was a bright light, and nobody questioned it. No. The one thing he questions is that it only took less than 3 seconds for it to get up to the elevator, get up to the 82nd floor or the 86th floor, wherever it was, from the garage level. I would be questioning more about the fucking light that's in the elevator shot. That it took like 3 seconds for it to go up there. Actually, I question that regardless. So Jennifer invites Mark to actually take a look at a couple of them. Check out some research upon the elevator company, and they look at Gunther Steinberg. And Chip happens to notice that that Gunther Steinberg actually mentions that Gunther Steinberg was actually working on something called biochips, which the military was working on dolphins at the time. But apparently, like they stopped using it at some point. So Jennifer asks Chip to look further into it, though, and to tell her and Mark if he finds any more information about this. Anyway, they go try talking to Jeff. Jeff blows them off, and he leaves. And we never see him again until the following day, where he's found dead in the elevator shaft. Now, the police think that that Jeff was responsible for this whole thing, but it turns out it was he's the fall guy. The the elevator the elevator company guy, Perlman, and Gunther Cyborg, played by Michael Ironside, and the right along Dan Hedaya. Very rare that you see all three of these guys together, but hey, take it all in. Just take it all in. That with all the shots of the World Trade Center in the background. Take it all in. So, all that being said, they think that something that Gunther actually did something to the elevator shaft. So afterwards, they go down to Jeff's wife. Mark and Jen check out Jeff's wife. She actually says that Jeff died the exact same way as Kowalski did. It's like, wait, what are you talking about? Didn't Kowalski commit suicide by going to his car and actually by dying by drunk driving and crashed his car in the river and went up in flames or something? No, he died in the elevator shaft, the exact same shaft they found Jeff in. What? So they go over to Kowalski's place. They find Mrs. Kowalski is out of her fucking mind at this point. This is where the overacting of the movie of the third act kind of takes place a little bit, but my God, it's overplayed like crazy. But Kowalski's wife thinks that Jeff is like now haunting the place, which is probably not surprising. But this is like a good lead saying that maybe Jeff is actually haunting the building, which would make some sense given all the supernatural shit that's going to happen there. But she says that it's going to get worse, much worse, and apparently a whole group of people go inside the main freight elevator. While the thing, rather than stopping on each floor, it goes all the way up. The floor gives in, and everybody starts pulling out. Women, and children start flying, going down. And while the effect is kind of cheesy. The way you can clearly tell it's just a bunch of people on a green screen doing this. Clearly, except for this one kid who actually, with the camera zoomed in on him as he was screaming, and it went down to see him peeing his pants, which the pee didn't look like pee, it looked like it was soda. I'm going to say that's probably a problem on the prop department. Maybe they had Mountain Dew, but they actually mixed it in with Pepsi. Who the fuck knows? I don't care. I don't think they should have actually showed that. But what they actually show what happens to the kid later on is like he loses his mother's grasp and he falls down the shaft. But we see him hit his head on the camera. Like literally, the thing comes down to him like this. Oh, did the kid literally hit the camera? I think that should have been cut from the movie. It's kind of unnerving. I mean, I know the acting is a little hokey, but still, I think the kid legit got hurt on that, or the stunt double got hurt. But still, I think that should have been cut. Anyway, the main elevator gets stuck on the roof. At this point, everybody falls down the shaft and gets killed. The president actually goes on television in the White House saying that it was an act of terrorism and that our nation's greatest, our nation's symbol is now being threatened by terrorism. And you can clearly see where all the 9/11 shit was kind of a problem with this movie. So yeah, but I'm going to chalk it up saying it was actually nothing more about bad timing. I mean, you remember Chuck Norris's film Top Dog? Yeah, the last Chuck Norris film that came out theatrically was called Top Dog, and it came out around the same time as the Oklahoma City bombing took place. Yeah, and there was actually a domestic terrorist plot in that movie. And it was a domestic terrorism plot that actually was the cause of the Oklahoma City bombing. So yeah, that movie didn't do so well in the box office because it came out because of bad timing. They should have just delayed the film, like maybe release it the following year or release it on home video months later. So all in all, it was just bad timing with that movie. So 4 months after this film was released, this happened. We got the 9/11 attacks. So yeah, nothing but bad timing. Bad timing. That's all it was. It's very sad too. because this movie is actually not that bad, in my personal opinion. Anyway, Gunther and the boss and Gunther are actually yelling at each other. The boss is yelling at Gunther, telling him he needs to fit that he's not going to jail for this shit. This is basically his problem. He said he can control it. He can't. It's a failure. Uh, so Gunther just leaves to see if he can go take care of it. Meanwhile, Mark and Jennifer actually try to sneak into the Millennium Building. Jennifer gets a call from Chip saying that they never actually. That it turns out Gunther's research was never had never stopped. He was still researching the biochips, but they stopped using them on dolphins. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, okay, I'm not gonna zoom in further because I'm gonna hit the fucking camera. Okay. So anyway, the FBI is in charge of the situation, along with New York City SWAT. They actually take over the entire building, looking for terrorists. And one of the cops actually makes a slip saying that this is kind of like what happened over at the World Trade Center back in the early '90s. Wow! Wow! Just wow! Oh, pouring salt on the wound there. Like I said, bad timing. Oh boy. So anyway, Mark believes that the main problem is actually the main computer system on the top floor where the main elevator shop got stuck. So he sneaks by the cops, goes to check in the main elevator. It's the room, but the control panel is completely destroyed. But yet, there's something wrong with the elevator. He figures that whatever in the elevator shaft, so the main control, that was the decoy. So the main control's got to be somewhere else. So he figures it's got to be down in the shaft. So he turns on one of the elevators, gets some tools, and heads down to the main shaft, where the elevator does try to kill him at some point, but he cuts the power off from the computer and actually controls it manually. Hmm. Anyway, Jennifer gets arrested, and she actually gets locked away in one of the storage lockers, but she escapes. And some shenanigans actually wind up happening where the elevators become a bit more of a problem, but they actually turn off the elevator power completely, where Mark was using it manually, because of the fact he actually winds up finding where the main control box is. It's on the 67th floor. It's on the 65th floor, but it's on the other side of the far wall. So he has to get to it by climbing up the shaft. And there's goo coming out of it, like truly pulsating goo coming out of it. What is going on here? So he climbs all the way up. The SWAT is trying to get into the main shaft. They actually do get into the main shaft eventually, though. But as Mark makes his way up to the 65th floor, he finds the control panel and flies it open, and what we see is pretty fucked up. It's a pulsating heart. I'm going to repeat that. It is a pulsating heart. The biochip actually replicated itself multiple times, and now it is a giant pulsating heart that's oozing goo out. It has become alive and self-aware, and it pretty much took over the entire computer system of the building. So it means everything that's controlled by the building's electronics in the elevator shaft is mostly like air conditioning, suction, like airflow and everything. All of that. That explains all the supernatural shit. The damn thing was alive the entire time. Sorry, fucking laser. So what does Mark do? Well, he's got a screwdriver. That didn't do shit. Nope. All the power in the building goes completely wacky, and the elevators go. The main one actually that got stuck on the roof. It starts going. It goes AWOL, and everybody who's in the room was like, "What the fuck? Let's get the fuck out of here! Come on, come on! Oh my god, it's alive! Get the fuck out of here!" Ah! Overacting at its finest. Uh, I love late '90s, early 2000s overacting. It's It's very entertaining. Stupid, yes, but very entertaining regardless. Anyway, the main elevator shaft the main elevator nearly tries to kill Mark. Actually, the elevator's almost killed Mark until he dodges most of them. He actually gets stuck. His foot gets stuck on the cables, and he goes for a ride up, but he cuts himself loose. The main elevator comes crashing down, killing a cop by splitting him in half. Mark makes his way up onto one of the floors where they actually have RPGs up there for terror to take out terrorists with. So he uses one of the other freight elevators that's away from the main one, and he basically kills the power, arms the RPG, but before he can actually use the RPG, Gunther Steinberg actually makes his way into the building, and the FBI guys. There's a bit of a subplot going on here that was probably, I think, was removed from the movie, but never, or maybe never got filmed. But apparently, the FBI guys knew who the hell Gunther Steinberg was because the biochip thing was actually something that the military was working on, and Gunther was the lead scientist. So these guys may have actually worked with Steinberg, or actually the military personnel that Gunther Steinberg probably worked alongside with it. He just doesn't remember them. But they remember him. So they figured, wait a minute, is that Gunther Steinberg? What the fuck? You're not thinking that, oh my god, if he's involved in this, that means, oh man, I really hope this is a terrorist attack. Oh fuck, if he's involved in this, damn it. So anyway, they found out where the elevator actually had stopped. They go along with the SWAT team. Now, Mark actually opens the elevator shaft up, exposing the brain. He's about to blow it up with the RPG, but nope, Steinberg stops him, and he and Steinberg have a bit of a fight. But Steinberg almost kicks him into the elevator shaft until Jennifer grabs his gun and threatens him to get away from him. So after that, Mark grabs the RPG and he takes aim. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! What are you doing? I got him. Save for him." But before he could shoot the RPG, he could shoot it. Gunther gets in front of the elevator shaft, telling him no, it's his life's work. Then SWAT and the FBI come in and tell him to stand down. But Steinberg actually grabs his gun back and actually takes Jennifer hostage. But Jennifer kicks it, actually bites him, and she gets free. While the cables inside the shack come in and grab Steinberg and choke him and toss it and chuck him into the elevator shaft. And there, the cables grab Mark. Jennifer kicks the RPG to Mark. Mark grabs the RPG. He gets swung into the elevator shaft. As it happens, he gets swung in. Boom! Shoots the fucking brain. He literally blew the brain up, killing it instantly. It's a spectacular shot. I'm not gonna lie. That was a really cool shot too. How the whole thing just happened. She kicks him the RPG. He grabs it as he's being swung into the elevator shaft. Boom! Blows the fucking brain up, and he gets chucked outside the. He gets chucked out of the elevator shaft, and he hits the wall. And Cyborg comes hanging down, showing that he's dead. Anyway, the FBI tell everybody to stand down, and tell the SWAT team to stand down, and get the medical personnel in here to get them medical attention, get Jennifer and Mark medical attention. Anyway, the situation is now over. It's not a terrorist attack, although press-wise, they made it sound like it was a terrorist attack because they don't want to mention the biochips. Kind of a smart thing, but then again, the biochips is as crazy as it is, makes it much more of a better story. But hey, terrorism, yeah, that's more believable. Considering 4 months later we have the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Fucking Christ! Wow, bad timing. What can I fucking tell you? Anyway, we get more shots in New York City, some with the World Trade Center for the final time, and we get America being released from the hospital. He locks the elevator. He locks the hospital elevator up with Jennifer, and they start making out. Movie ends, so credits roll, and we got an Aerosmith song to end the whole thing off with. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was there. Was it a good movie? Actually, kind of is a good movie. I'm not gonna lie; it's actually not that bad. It's just it was heavily ridiculed because of the timing when it came out. The movie was released again, like I said, May 11th, 2001, and 4 months later we had the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And they make several references to terrorist attacks in the movie. So it's probably one of the reasons why the film didn't do so well. and it got a lot of negative reception when it was first released. But it did later gain a cult. But it did gain a cult following, and it gained its status and started getting a better reputation as time went on. And also, it didn't really help that they changed the title name several times. So during home media releases, so I do kind of, so I do basically recommend this film for my viewers. It's actually not that bad of a movie. I say give it a watch. Honestly, I'm probably going to watch it later on this week again because I do kind of like this movie. I also do recommend watching The Lift, which is the original film. And to be fair, Dick Moss's film The Lift is actually not that bad. It's a really good 80s sci-fi. It's a good 80s horror film, and it borderlines on sci-fi towards the very end of the movie, where it sounds like the elevator is alive and there's something supernatural going on. But again, it's the biochips for like the exact same thing. Yeah, so it's arguably the exact same movie, except this is more of a modernized version. A little bit more ridiculous, but surprisingly not that bad. All joking aside, it's a pretty decent film. I do recommend this for my friends, colleagues, and viewers. So give it a watch. But I would also highly recommend you watch the original version, The Lift, whether it's the Dutch cut or Dutch audio one or English audio. It doesn't matter which dub you watch. It's surprisingly not that bad. This one is okay. Though the original film is better, this one not a bad film in general. Oh, well, this is much more less than I originally had made. So anyway, it's getting late. I'm tired. It's already past 11 for me. I'm gonna go to bed. But before I go, I do highly recommend this movie. So the next time, I will take a look at a William Castle classic film. Oh yeah, it's time to delve into a William Castle film, starring the oh so talented and beloved horror icon. Surprise! We're gonna watch The Tingler. Oh yeah, The Tingler. Anyway, folks, have a good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Frank signing out.